That game has started. North Carolina Tar Heels lead 11-4. We'll be sending some of you out there. Others will be going to the southeast, where Seton Hall leads 14-8 in early action. For those of you expecting LSU in California or Missouri, Temple will give you bonus coverage of that Seton Hall Tennessee State game, and we're going to send all of you out. We'll
taking on the 16th seed, the Pirates of East Carolina. And Billy, this is a long-awaited matchup by those in these parts here. Two teams that have played each other in 40 years.
Well, you say it's long-awaited. I think that the opportunity to play North Carolina is something that East Carolina would like. But, of course, I think they'd like to come into the game in a little bit better competitive position. North Carolina playing right over the top of their heads so far in this one.
Results from earlier today: Arkansas, St. John's, and Rhode Island advance. Rhode Island awaiting the winner of this contest here. It's a 17-8 ball game. North Carolina on top. And just a couple of storylines to bring you up to date on. Derek Phelps, the outstanding point guard for the Tar Heels, did practice a little earlier before the game and came out here also to warm up. Has been cleared by the doctors to play. Dean Smith decided not to start him. Brian Reese, who flew home to New York to attend the wake of his grandmother, who along with his moms raised him, flew back today, did start. And right now it's been the inside strength of North Carolina. Eric Montross scoring at will with 9 of the 17 points by Carolina, and it's a 17-9 Tar Heels lead.
Well, Ike Copeland, the center for East Carolina, had never played against the 7-footer. So Montross, who's off to a big start, sits down, and a 7-footer replaces him by the name of Salvadori. So North Carolina blessed with 3 7-footers. Now they go to their trap. Nice job out the Lions.
Lester Lyons from three-point range, and Lester Lyons is the leading scorer for East Carolina, averaging 15 on the season, and East Carolina gets the turnover, and it goes back to the Pirates. East Carolina only the 8th team to play in the tournament with a losing record, a record of 13-16. The first time since '86 a team with a losing record in.
Right, and of course the team that did the best out of that group was Bradley. Very difficult to get anything back in terms of a second shot for East Carolina. Of course, they won their conference tournament by beating JMU, James Madison University, Lefty Drizel's club. That 3 of the last 4 years, Lefty's taken them to the final, but not been able to get them to the NCAA tournament.
This is Ronell Peterson with the pass over to Curly Young, and Young off the front iron. Carolina with the loose ball. Dante Calabria, George Lynch, Kevin Salvadori, Henrik Rodel, and Brian Reese, the 5 in white for Carolina.
Coach Eddie Payne from East Carolina doing the only thing he can, realizing North Carolina will run in 10 to 12 players in this game. He went to his bench early on and getting pretty good productivity.
Ike Copeland with the rebound for the Pirates. 19-12, Carolina on top. 12-13 left in the ball game, and this really is a David and Goliath matchup. But the young players from East Carolina, they were looking very much forward to it, not listening to the advice to go out and play, lose, and be satisfied that you were here. These guys really want to win.
Lynch and Montross, particularly down in low.
You're right, 8 for Lynch, 9 for Montross. And a timeout for the Pirates tomorrow as we take a look at the primetime matchup there, Billy.
Well, JB, Coastal Carolina gave Bob Knight a solid game when they played up against Indiana a few years ago. That Xavier-New Orleans battle should be a good one. In the SEC right now at 2-0 so far in the tournament with their #1 guy, Kentucky, coming up tomorrow.
And into the ball game for Carolina. Derek Phelps, number 14, playing the point on the defense here. Phelps, of course, did not play in the Conference Tournament Championship. Badly bruised tailbone. Did not practice all week. Shot around by himself, but did not practice. And as recently as a couple days ago, couldn't bend over to touch his toes.
And North Carolina shows zone defense for the first time with Phelps in the game. Kind of interesting. Phelps watched the selection show while standing up in the bus because he didn't want to sit down in the bumpy ride. So I know a lot of people watched it in airports in different places, but that's an unusual situation.
Too ginger to sit down. And the follow by Salvadori.
And now Copeland says, wait a minute, I never played against a 7-footer in my life, and now I'm playing against 2 of them at the same time. North Carolina goes back to man-to-man.
Seton Hall coming into the tournament with 11 consecutive victories, including the Big East Championship underway. And you see results from earlier from around the country. Montross ahead to Rodel. And Rodel scores and is fouled.
Tough break by Peterson, who hustled all the way down the floor, but got there a little too late against Rodel. That's 6'8", just too big for him on the break. Good look ahead by Montross. And here's Rodel taking off, using the left hand while to shield it in the act of shooting, so goes to the line. And JB, when you look up there, we're at the 10-minute mark. 25 points scored by North Carolina so far. In the case of East Carolina, they are 1-13 when the game goes to a 70-plus point game. Now, when you look up the scoreboard, 70-plus is almost there, right?
Doesn't take a math genius to figure that one out. Carolina averages 86 points per game. East Carolina 68 as we take a look at Donald Williams coming in to replace Rodel.
And North Carolina #1 in the nation in scoring margin at 18.3 points a game.
So it's Kareem Richardson, James Lewis, Antoine Gill, Curly Young, and Lester Lyons, the 5 in the purple uniforms for the East Carolina Pirates.
Good decision by Eric Montross on that play. Makes the good two-handed catch, and then doesn't look to throw it away with a hasty play.
Wilbert Hunter comes in to replace Curly Young for East Carolina. 26-12, 10-10 left in the first half of play.
North Carolina did not guard the ball out of bounds. Picks up full court. Montross back as a defenseman.
Lions for 3.
Good pull-up.
Leads the team in scoring 15 points a game, 33% from three-point range on the season.
Colonial Athletic Conference MVP of their tournament. Again, take it to the hoop.
And they call a charging foul on Lester Lyons.
And you know, the man that was back there to draw the charge probably really scared Dean Smith, and you can see his concerns.
When you talk about guts, though, taking the charge. Phelps, who has the badly bruised tailbone.
And Dean Smith wants him out of there. He wants to talk to him right away. Derek said, no, I can handle it. And Dean Smith said, no, I think I'm going to send a sub up. We don't need to see that anymore. East Carolina goes to a 1-2-2 zone.
Williams in and out. Nice block out by James Lewis. James Lewis, about 6'6", solidly built at 225, trying to do a job of blocking out Montross.
Their stuff's not quite as quick. If you're looking in to see if you can detect anything due to that injury. Not quite as quick as he normally is out there defensively, but.
And Billy, you can see him grimacing whenever he bends over, and that position you hold at least 50% of the time because that's the athletic spot or position for defense.
Exactly. He said he had a hard time bending over, touching his toes, and if you can't do that, you're probably not going to be the great stopper he's been. East Carolina packing their zone back in now, seeing if North Carolina can shoot.
The lob tried to Montross, and Montross raked across the forehead and the shoulder.
Yeah, he's maybe too big to be hurt.
He may not feel that way.
Probably got stunned with a shot to the shoulder. There he goes up. Let's see what happens to him right here. Just got the shoulder caught in a funny position.
And you know what? That's exactly how you can separate and dislocate a shoulder coming down. And as I mentioned before, James Lewis, a well-built player at 6'6", 225. Reese at the free throw line. We mentioned the emotional difficulty he's going through with his grandmoms having passed and flew home to be at the wake. The funeral is on Saturday, but it's believed he will be here to play as we take a look at the Colonial Athletic Association standings.
You know, James Madison, the last time that North Carolina won the national championship, Dean Smith back in '82, they played that JMU team in Greensboro. Tough game. Lou Campanelli had the club ready to go. North Carolina squeaked by, and of course Worthy and Jordan and the crew won the national championship. East Carolina 7th with 8-team lead, but won the conference tournament. Put them in the NCAA.
Off the mark.
Nice push off by Gill.
Gill shot blocked by Montross.
Nice dish.
And you can tell Phelps when he doesn't have the movement that he'd like to have. on the floor, and you got to believe that Dean wants to get somebody in there in place of him.
Yeah, you would think so. I'll tell you, he's taking some pretty good punishment. You can see how he came down favoring that leg. Boy, East Carolina now packing the zone back inside the foul line. Phelps. Lynch, the third leading rebounder in Carolina history now.
That's saying something.
Only Billy Cunningham and Sam Perkins ahead of him.
Fans wanted to walk by Wilbert Hunter. Instead of 3 by Lester Lyons. Lester Lyons with 3 3-pointers. He's got 11 points. As I mentioned, he averages 15.
The zone stays packed back in there. North Carolina in the man-to-man was able to go over the top in the zone, not hitting anything.
Here comes Lyons. Trying to cut into that 7-point deficit to the Tar Heels with 7:43.
Hill.
Montross with the rebound. He's got 4.
What East Carolina is doing a good job is getting back on defense. Even though they're playing in the zone, their balance has been good.
And Billy, if you're the Pirates, you would want to play it up-tempo. Offset the size disadvantage.
Well, you'd see
Williams for 3. In and out. Williams has had 2 or 3 balls in and out of the basket.
Yeah, can't get anything to fall.
And Phelps dropping in his first basket.
And although the Tar Heels have a huge following here in the state, I think all the fans from the other teams that are here are picking up on East Carolina.
Cheering for the underdog.
Yep. Well, we had a 15 beat a 2 tonight with Santa Clara beating Arizona.
That's
only
happened before.
Right, only the second time in NCAA tournament history. Before Richmond did it, beating Syracuse in '91.
Back at Cole Fieldhouse. And Sullivan is fouled, taking the ball to the basket. So with 6:46 left in the first half of play, the top seed here in the East, the Tar Heels of North Carolina, holding to a 9-point lead over East Carolina, the 16th seed. And for those who may not know an awful lot about East Carolina, well, Billy, here's the Pirates file.
Down in Greenville, eastern part of the United States, eastern part of the state of North Carolina. As you can see, an enrollment right up around 17,000. In the tournament record against other people, they haven't lost a game, dude. Kind of like that free throw. There's Eddie Payne.
And you know a little bit about him. I think you had a hand in recruiting him to Wake Forest.
Eddie came to Wake Forest as a non-scholarship athlete, won a scholarship by his sophomore year, became a starter, and became the MVP in his college team by the time he was a senior.
Breaking the action. We'll be back in a moment. The basketball public is quite familiar with.
Well, you can see the last tournament appearance was 1992. They're going now on 19 straight NCAA tournaments. Obviously an all-time record. Next was UCLA with 15, and they're no longer in the hunt on that streak. So Dean Smith, far and away the greatest streak of NCAA consecutive appearances of anybody.
We've got a break in the act.
Called his 3rd timeout. His 2nd timeout. He's got 1 left. But you know what? I don't fault him at all.
And the reason?
Well, because you got to assume that this game is not going to be tight down the wire. He's given his team every opportunity to stay in it as long as he can. Keep them rested. Make sure North Carolina doesn't get a run against you. And maybe you can gain some confidence here.
And also give him some material that is to inspire the team at halftime.
Exactly.
Try to inspire them.
You start talking about hanging on to your timeouts, you're down 25. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
You're right about that. That's when reality sets in.
Nice look
for Lyons. Lyons is 4 for 5 from 3-point range.
2 of those he pulled up on the fast break. Good help by Copeland. Now, there's not a good play by Lynch, who's normally a very smart player. That being the fact, if you've got a 7-footer, don't put the ball down on the floor where Copeland's got the advantage. They'll throw that ball lob. No bounce passes down in the lane.
And Billy, I tell you, that looked as if it was a 3 from here. They changed it and gave Lyons a 2 on that. He looked to be clearly in 3-point range.
And one of the things North Carolina does to everybody, and that is force the dribbler to go baseline where you run into the weak side helper Montross.
As you take a look at the numbers, Montross can have his way on the inside. UNC doing the job from the field because of the scoring inside, but Lester Lyons has certainly done a job in trying to keep ECU within range. Reese close range.
Great slashing driver to the basket is Reese. You got to figure he's not 100% either because he's been away from practice.
Under 5 to play in the first half. The Pirates trailing only 34-23 as Donald Williams comes in, replacing Ryan Reese, who limps off, grabbing just above his right knee. And Dante Calabria also takes a seat. So the 5 on the floor: Lynch, Montross, Williams, Sullivan, and Rodel. And this is Curly Young. Down by only 9 with 4:45 left in the first half of play. The Pirates trailing Carolina.
And look at the attention Montross is getting down inside with Copeland and Gill.
Nice kickback by Montross. And finally finding the range for Williams. His first basket of the game, and it's a three-pointer.
Well, you give up something, though, JB. It's double team down inside, so Williams has got to be open.
And Carolina certainly has a lot of somethings to go to. Nice move by Young, but not high enough on the glass. Carolina loses it. East Carolina has it.
Williams didn't make the catch before he started to dribble head off the other end. North Carolina double teaming now.
Ronell Peterson. And Peterson bangs home his first field goal of the afternoon. Make that the evening, a three-pointer. Now, it's 37-28, Billy.
East Carolina is making North Carolina pay every time they go to a trap. Getting the ball back outside, doing a good job making those threes. Solid screen on the inside by Sullivan. Copeland ran right into it.
And don't forget, coming up on the Prudential Securities at the half, Jim Nance and Bill Raftery in our New York studio. They will take you around to the hot and competitive contest.
Copeland can't believe it. He was being screened every which way on the back line of that zone. Sullivan just happened to catch him in a bad position. You know, I mentioned about Eddie Payne previously and how he worked his way up on the college level. Of course, his greatest moment ever was the opening round of the ACC tournament, 1973. He threw a pass the length of the court to beat Dean Smith's team 54-52. A guy named Lee Ford made the catch. Dean Smith remembers the play. The other day they were talking about it. He said, yeah, Eddie Payne was over the line on the throw-in. Talk about a memory like an elephant.
Oh, my goodness.
He said Eddie was over by 2 feet, and Eddie said, well, it might have been a matter of inches, but, you know.
But the stories grow by inches,
exactly. And Dean Smith hasn't been knocked out of many opening rounds of many tournaments, so maybe that's why he had such a good memory.
That's a fact. As Rodel comes back in for North Carolina. North Carolina with only 1 team foul, 7 for East Carolina. 3:33 left in the half.
Well, you can see them spreading things out. They have really done a nice job on these double teams that North Carolina usually creates a problem for everybody.
Basket by Lewis. Nice pass by Richardson. 39-30. The Pirates not to be shaken.
You know, it almost, JB, it's playing into East Carolina's hands by spreading this court out. You know, maybe if North Carolina pack things in and play a little bit more solidly for a while, East Carolina have a more difficult time scoring against them. They're really inviting the traps and doing a nice job against them.
Rodel with the last basket. He's got 5, averages 4 on the season.
See, Copeland can step outside. That presents a problem for Montross.
Aggressive defense by Carolina.
Again, they beat the double team.
I tell you, when they double team, when Carolina double teams East Carolina, you lose the player. In and out for Richardson, rebounded by Montross.
Nice passing. That was beautiful.
Reese to Lynch.
How often you see the touch passing by North Carolina? Cross court, then just look ahead. One of the trademarks of a Dean Smith team, everybody unselfish. Now they go back into the zone. You have to keep a look on Lyons. He's really been able to thread it from outside.
Young uses the pick. And, Billy, there's an example of using man-to-man principles to get free against his own defense.
Right. And I think North Carolina was really concerned where Lyons was on that side of the zone, and not a lot of help there.
1:40 left in the half. 43-32. North Carolina. Montross all night long.
Well, the thing that's so difficult on that particular play is North Carolina throwing a cross-court pass, skip pass, and Montross then has perfect position on the back line of the defense of the zone.
5 of 6 from the field for Montross.
There's the point zone being run by North Carolina. Heavy on the ball. Everybody then bouncing up on backside.
Nice pass by Lyons into Lewis. And Lewis goes up and is fouled. Is it on Lynch or Montross? It's on Montross.
Jimmy, there we talked about that earlier. North Carolina with 19 straight NCAA tournament appearances. This year, the two teams that were following, Georgetown and Syracuse, they get bounced out. Syracuse ineligible. Georgetown with the down year. Duke in there behind. Wouldn't think of maybe Georgia Tech with that nice streak of 9.
Something?
And you know, if Dean Smith wins this game, which I guess we could say is more than likely, it will be his 50th victory in the NCAA tournament as a coach. Again, another record that he holds that nobody is in line to catch him. John Wooden had 47 for those 10 national championships, but now Dean Smith all alone pushing for 50.
Lewis at his average at the free throw line. 1 of 2.
Not a good block out there for North Carolina. You're going to try to pick up some of the things that they aren't doing that well. Montross pushing Calabria around. Want him to be in a position to pick something off.
25 on the shot clock, 43 on the game clock.
California up, trying to get back some of that prestige for the Pac-10 after Arizona's stunning loss.
Lewis wants goaltending, but that was a good block. Salvadori.
Yep.
And then again, when you're looking up at all those trees, I guess you would think it's goaltending.
Good timing by Salvadori. I certainly didn't see any foul on his part, maybe from the backside.
James Lewis at the line, a 49% free throw shooter on the season. And Billy, we talked about this earlier in the games today. Mechanics are basically the same, but boy, it's got to be a matter of concentration.
Well, I'm going to tell you one of his problems. Look at how big his hands are. You know, guys with huge hands. I watched Shaquille O'Neal shoot a foul shot the other night, and the ball is about the size of a softball. And it's very difficult to get any kind of touch if you have the huge hands. And certainly that was the case there for James Lewis.
Well, Billy, I'm going to have to do a little research on that. I know Julius Erving had some pretty big hands.
Well, he wasn't a great free throw shooter.
7 seconds left in the first half. North Carolina on top, 45-34 over the 16th seed, East Carolina. Reese off the front of the iron. And in a matchup between these two teams that hasn't taken place in 40 years, it's North Carolina on top, 45-34, and that's the end of the first half. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the first round of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Advil advanced
36 points. And as we look globally at the tournament, Santa Clara's second 15th seed to knock off the number 2 seed as they knocked off Arizona.
Well, as we mentioned before, only Richmond's victory over Syracuse had ever been a 15 over a 2. So now history repeats itself. But there still hasn't been a number 16 beat a number 1, and that's what we've got right out here in front of us.
Richardson, Copeland, Antoine Gill, Curly Young, and Lester Lyons, the 5 in the purple uniforms for the Pirates.
Nice reverse dribble by Young.
Indeed.
He put a hurting on Brian Reese on that play.
8 points for Young, and good defense by Antoine Gill.
Well, there was a case where Lynch had position, but if you're going to hit that low post, you got to hit him at the right time. Lynch couldn't hold it forever without fouling. Back screen by Phelps trying to get the ball to Montross, who just powers his way in there.
And it stays down with Carolina as Montross was double and triple teamed.
Well, Dean Smith working at a Fisher right away, saying, hey, they had 4 guys hanging on him. Just because he's big doesn't mean he doesn't get a call.
Well, to be brutally honest about it, Billy, the Tar Heels certainly haven't played inspired basketball in the first half. And it may be, again, just not being as emotionally up.
Well, look at where that zone is. Back inside the foul line. There Reese goes down. North Carolina in that first half. 8 for 8 from the foul line. Good free throw shooting team, shooting over 70% on the year.
And not a good move here for the Pirates as Lester Lyons picks up the foul. That is his 3rd.
You know, another thing I thought that Eddie Payne did a good job with, he didn't exhaust his team in that first half. He called 2 timeouts, pretty liberal substitution pattern. With the exception of Lyons, who had the good first half, played 18 minutes, which is the most by anybody at East Carolina. Picked up 13 points and 5 for 6 shooting, 3 out of 4 from the 3-point line.
As Reese bangs on the second, you saw a shot of Eddie Payne still coaching along the sidelines there. Coaching his 2nd year here at East Carolina, 7th year overall as a head coach, and he was looking just to try to keep his job intact, and the team goes on to win the CAA postseason tournament.
North Carolina back now on that zone. Not trapping as much as they did. Good block
by Reese, and a hit to Reese.
Oh! There was a case where he had an opportunity to use that rim, and that really saved him. You know what, JB?
Mm-hmm.
I talked
an alert play on his part.
Yeah, I talk a lot about guys hanging onto the rim unnecessarily, but here is a case where the rule was intended. If you have an opportunity to prevent an injury, then it's legal. And in that case, Reese certainly did break his fall by grabbing onto the rim.
Because he was certainly headed for his tailbone from that height. Steady calmly and in a collect fashion drops home the free throw. Carolina on top of East Carolina 48-36.
Reese and Montross both made the All-Atlantic Coast Conference All-Tourney team.
And Billy, the Pirates are working so hard and properly executing the blockouts, but they can't hold on to the ball, and it goes back to North Carolina.
And of course, one of the other things they made was Dean Smith's don't ever show up late to a meeting team, too, as they both were penalized 1 minute and 20 seconds of playing time because they didn't get down to a meeting on time.
How late can you be for a meeting of his?
Yeah, no time.
Matter of fact, Billy, I think there was one time a guy was 1 minute and 20 seconds late as we take a look at the All-ACC team, first team.
Well, there's George Lynch and Eric Montross, Grant Hill, who had a big day, and Bobby Hurley, who had a sensational night in the opening round for Duke.
Nice slicing move by Kareem Richardson for the Pirates.
Second move of the half. First one by Young that penetrated with a dribble against North Carolina.
Nice move and good pass on the inside. The move was provided by George Lynch as he got the good body position and received a nice pass. Eric Roll back in for the Tar Heels, replacing Donald Williams.
I've never really done a survey on a North Carolina team, but I'll bet you that in half court, they dribble the ball less than anybody in basketball. You notice how a few times you see guys put the ball on the floor? Almost everything they do is with the pass.
And Dean Smith certainly is not an advocate of wasted motion, and that he would consider to be wasted.
Yep.
George Lynch, you mentioned the fact that he is, what, third all-time?
Third all-time. Got a chance to pass Billy Cunningham if North Carolina can advance in the tournament. He's already the leading man with steals in the history of North Carolina basketball.
And has just quietly done these things,
Yep.
Billy. We talked about Al Skinner, the coach of the Rhode Island Rams, not being a demonstrative type. Neither is Lynch out on the floor. Just gets the job done professionally.
Oh, another great drive.
That again by Richardson. And it's a 9-point ball game. 17:35 left in the game, and East Carolina within 9.
And Eddie Payne saying, get that zone back inside the foul line. Look, everybody has their feet in the lane. Incredible. And they still go down low.
Not paying attention, providing the open lane for Brian Reese.
And, of course, Donald Williams now coming up off the bench. Boy, but how would you like to be a jump shooter with this team? I mean, there's nobody outside 15 feet defensively.
Lions played with 3 personal fouls.
North Carolina can be much more solid if they pull things back in against East Carolina. Every time they get extended defensively, East Carolina is able to break the trap and get something good going. Here's another example.
And Curly Young moving to the basket, but the foul called before the shot. And, Billy, you make a good point. You get a chance to utilize that quickness against North Carolina.
Now, see, the other thing that this is doing is pulling Montross way out away from the basket because Copeland is playing up high. So it takes away any shot blocking opportunities for the big guy.
Rodel and Reese take a seat as Sullivan and Williams come in for the Tar Heels.
And now it's Montross on James Lewis out high.
Boy, now he ought to take advantage of that one.
Well, not a good ball handler himself.
Doesn't need to be one to try to get by him.
I think Dean Smith is liking the workout that Phelps is getting in this game.
And a blocking foul called on Ike Copeland.
Now, the key thing there is, did Copeland set his position in time because it was a blind screen? No more than 2 strides. I don't think so.
And, Billy, I tell you, talk about splitting hairs. Gosh. 51-40. Tar Heels on top.
Again, look at that zone. Everybody inside the foul line. Lynch comes up short. Got to take some jumpers against this zone. Just penalize it a time or 2.
Keep him honest.
But Eddie Payne playing the percentages, saying, look, I'm going to get 5 guys down inside. I'm not going to let Montross make layups.
Lions out to Richardson. To Lewis. Over to Young for 3. Sullivan with the rebound. The outlet to Phelps.
Yeah, Phelps not exploding like normal.
And a foul called on the Pirates. Curly Young
just didn't get there in time. Lynch had the corner turned on him.
4th team foul on East Carolina. We'll take a break. Back in a bit.
The Grand Am's great.
Well, what happened to the Accord?
Yeah.
I found out what the Accord really costs. With air, automatic, anti-lock brakes, $19,500.
Whoa.
Huh? They weren't talking to me.
Really? Wow. The Grand Am, they don't give that away.
Air, automatic, standard anti-lock brakes, $5,000 less than the Accord.
5 less?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know what that means a month? Got me into a new car.
What are you going to do with the money?
Eat.
In IndyCar racing, when it rains, we don't race on super speedways. But we're running this IndyCar on Goodyear Eagle.
Okay, and what else?
Hey, go back to the bench, son.
51-40. Tar Heels on top. 15-34.
I'll tell
Left
you,
in the game.
our camera guys are all over this game, aren't they?
Oh,
well, you know, they've only worked every other game, I think. I don't think they worked all 4, did they? Come on.
As we look at scores from earlier.
I'll tell you what, though, JB, one of the things that surprised me, this is an 11-point ball game.
I'm telling you.
East Carolina's done a fine job staying with it.
Lions had it blocked by Lynch. If Ronell Peterson and Copeland could provide some scoring, it would be even closer.
Oh, good job.
10, and he has yet to score.
Lewis with a fine interception there.
And I take that back. Peterson has only 3 points, but he averages 10. He could certainly help a bit more. (51-40) North Carolina, the number 1 seed, leading the 16 seed East Carolina. As we take a look at the 3 provided by Don Williams. 14:45 left in the ball game. James Brown along with Billy Packer, and North Carolina has never trailed.
And JB, one of the things that North Carolina could do the next few times down, they won't, but they could do, is to say, okay, look, Donald Williams, you point yourself up at the top of the key or wherever you feel comfortable with the three, and we're just going to fire it inside right back out to you and take three-point shots for the next couple of minutes.
You're right, it probably won't happen.
Yeah, but that'd be a way to just blow this game open.
Carolina doing well from the field, shooting 53%.
They go to their zone with their traps, but East Carolina has really effectively broken traps tonight.
North Carolina does not make it a habit of playing in-state teams that are not in the ACC conference. This is the first meeting in 40 years. Dr. Ernie Schwartz, who is a faculty representative at East Carolina, was the center for North Carolina when these two teams last played. Montross with the rebound. 7 for the big fella, and this 14-point lead ties the biggest lead of the ball game. Now it's the largest.
And of course, Eddie Payne used the 2 timeouts to stop momentum in the first half. He may have to be thinking about it here again, trying to keep his team close best he can.
Eddie Payne with just 1 timeout left, called 2 in the first half, trying to keep his team close to North Carolina.
Using a little bit of clock here. Nice piece of coaching.
Oh, there's the shot that I was looking for from Peterson. That's his second 3 of the ball game. He's got 6, averages 10.
The pace of the game. Notice how North Carolina can't get anything going either.
Nice. Those 2 guys would have had one
great second lead.
Gets his own rebound and scores.
Now there's one thing that he does when you talk about a quiet stat man. He's got the great ability to go up on that second lead so quick.
George Lynch played for Stu Vetter, one of the most successful high school coaches in the country. He's produced some 66 Division I players. Stu Vetter, Flint Hill, Parker Prep, St. John's Prospect Hall.
Oh, nice pass in.
And Montross is hammered by Curly Young.
Well, one of the reasons that the North Carolina program under Dean Smith has been so successful is that they have always been an unselfish team. There was Lynch with an opportunity for about a 12-foot jump shot, recognizing Montross had a 2-foot jump shot. So there goes the pass.
Wholesale changes for East Carolina. As we take a look, again, this bracket here in Winston-Salem, Arkansas, St. John's, Rhode Island, all advanced. And we'll play on Saturday.
Now, JB, you were talking about East Carolina or Dean Smith's theory about playing in-state people. East Carolina has played against ACC teams. This actually is the 50th game in the history of the school. Their record is 1-48. And I'm going to let you think about this. Which is the one ACC team that East Carolina has beaten in the ACC? That's a tough one. They're 0-20. 0-1 against North Carolina, 0-20 against Duke. It's Georgia Tech. They have a victory over Georgia Tech.
Honestly, I was about to say.
All good. You're like Jim Nance. After the fact, you come up with the answer.
Oh, Jim Nance is normally pretty quick with them before.
Yeah, that was the trick you after that Saluki question.
Oh, that was a conversation from earlier as we take a look at Gavin Salvadori coming in to replace Eric Montross. Well, Billy, you sounded quite convincing when I asked you what a Saluki was.
Yeah, but I was bluffing there.
Well, you sounded very convincing.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you can be a convincing bluffer. There's another word for that.
12-12 left in the ball game, 59-44. North Carolina on top. Eddie Payne, second-year coach at East Carolina, watching this squad, and Ike Copeland get the rebound.
Nice little push by Copeland, disguised it well, got the rebound. See, Copeland has caused problems when Montross was in the games when he steps out there. Lynch, of course, much more effective going out and guarding him that far away.
Well, that was a good bounce pass. You know, you don't see very many good bounce passes. Nice steal by Phelps.
You know what Dean Smith is forcing Derek Phelps to play in this game to get over the feeling of being hurt. He probably still has some pain, but he took some blows early on in this game.
And a nice steal by Sullivan ahead to Rodel.
Here comes Phelps, back to Phelps. And this is a nightmare for Eddie Payne when the game starts turning into a 90-foot basketball game. Again, there's Phelps getting the understanding that he can get hit and still play.
Derek Phelps at the line for one shot. 11:22 left in the ball game. North Carolina, the top seed here in the East, taking on the 16th seed East Carolina, leading them 63-44. And Derek Phelps playing in his first game since missing the championship contest of the ACC Conference Tournament game, that because of a badly bruised tailbone. In the ball game, and Phelps playing well.
No place to go. Good double team by Salvadori.
Copeland can't get the layup. Montross, and it's stolen.
How'd you like that bounce pass that Copeland picked up? See, why East Carolina? They're well trained against that double team.
And the rebound by Salvadori, and a foul as we head to the other end.
That was Gill just outmanned there. Gill at about 6'6", trying to go on the boards with Salvadori and Montross. No chance.
Foul called on Wilbert Hunter, his first, as we take a look at tomorrow night's primetime lineup right here on CBS Sports as we continue to bring you the coverage throughout the NCAA tournament.
No, JB, you talked about the good job that Phelps has done, the way he's reacted to that injury. I think back to 1984, and I know that North Carolina's had a lot of great teams, and I've seen a lot of top teams in college basketball. I think the most talented team that I ever saw, other than Kareem Jabbar's club, and maybe this one even beats it in terms of overall talent, was that '84 North Carolina team. And Kenny Smith got hurt, as everybody remembers now, in the LSU game with that wrist got messed up. He just never came back to regular form. But that was some kind of a talented team that got knocked off by IU.
Last year, the Oldsmobile Achieva went up against Honda Accord and Toyota Camry in an independent 100.
North Carolina on top, 10:45 left in the ball game. (65-44) North Carolina on top. Two schools that are only 100 miles apart. The last time they played some 40 years ago. Antoine Gill off the mark. And you want to know why North Carolina is shooting 56% from the field? We'll take a look at the points in the paint. Unbelievable.
And also been on that foul line 19 times to 15 out of 19. Nice save. Richardson back there.
Richardson, Lester Lyons, Antoine Gill, Ike Copeland.
Hey, California over LSU. And there's that dangerous club, Temple.
Yes, indeed. Defensively tough.
And Temple in that same bracket, JB, that supposedly was going to hold number 2 Arizona. But now Temple, if they win, they go up against Santa Clara, the number 15 seed.
The Atlantic 10 could make a little noise.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, Rhode Island will present some problems for North Carolina with an overall team quickness.
Antoine Gill with the strong move. Scores and is fouled.
Here we see it on the inside, keeps pivoting. Gill then gathers himself and goes up. Salvadori, who is a good shot blocker, because normally he doesn't have to clean out a lot of space. He can wait, as he did right there, and be the secondary man defensively and pick it off, but came down on Gill. Nice play.
Gill misses a free throw. He bulked up in the offseason with a very concentrated weight program. Nice pass inside to Lynch. Lynch has always been physically strong.
Yeah, always seems to be at the right place at the right time. There they go back to that point zone. Lynch running the baseline in the 1-3-1 setup. does a lot of talking back there, which is very helpful. Lyon's been quiet, JB.
That he has. He's playing with 3 personal fouls.
He can't seem to get open for that jump shot. He is now. And Lynch came all the way from the back end to the 1-3-1, right?
And deflected the pass.
Smart play.
Just enough to throw the play off.
Oh, how about that over the head? Make it.
Unbelievable pass. Make Lyons and Richardson convert.
You want to see a guy convert on a play like that. Nice move by Lyons.
Talk about creative.
Well, he had the presence of mind to remember where everybody was on the floor because he was looking for his own shot.
Well, his teammate had to be alert as well.
Reese telegraphed that one.
Rodel telegraphing that one from 3.
Probably the biggest game of the year from Rodel was hitting the 3-point shots in that huge comeback against Florida State at home, which really set the stage for North Carolina to win the regular season ACC crown.
And he was in his own then.
Yep, he really was. They needed somebody to put up the shots. He did in the second half, and it brought him back. Big overplays here. Copeland bails him out. It does no good for 4 guys to press if one guy is not, because there's always that outlet.
Richardson for 3. And it looks to be off of East Carolina, and it will go North Carolina's way. Our break in the action with 7:56 left. North Carolina on top, 70-49.
The NCAA women's
Beat East Carolina comfortably by 21 points. At times the biggest lead of the ball game with 7:50 left.
And Jimmy, there's that magic number of 70. When it goes over 70, East Carolina's been 1-13 this year. So they've got to fight hard now.
Well, what do you think? Do you think the chances of them holding Carolina at 70 for 7 minutes is realistic?
That would be a story.
That it would. Lyons, Copeland, Richardson.
There's again beating the double team. This team has really been well drilled on beating the double team traps. They're stepping through. In many cases, they're using some power in the case of Richardson. But in that case, Lyons just stepped through and made the good play. A real technique, if you're going to beat North Carolina, that you have got to establish. Because they're going to trap you, and they're going to trap you with bigger people. You know, Rodel 6'8" comes out at you. Lynch comes out at you.
And that's the 3rd foul on Kareem Richardson. 19 foul. A 1-and-1 situation for North Carolina.
Matter of fact, I'd say right now that East Carolina's probably done as good a job not being disrupted by the North Carolina traps of anybody that I've seen.
And give Eddie Payne a lot of credit for having his team ready for it. Henrik Rodel from Winston-Salem, Germany.
Olympic player.
Pat Sullivan in for Brian Reese. Boy, Seton Hall really on a nice roll. California doing the job against LSU, and Temple, well, Missouri fighting back at halftime.
Well, Missouri, the Big 8, caused headaches for that selection committee when they came up, and
didn't they?
Were one of those many teams that had big runs in their postseason conference tournaments that made that selection so tough this year.
Sweeping through the Big 8 tournament. And Billy Parody certainly did make some decisions very, very tough, but should set up some nice second-round action throughout the country.
Pretty nice passing against the zone.
5 seconds left on the shot clock, and a steal by Donald Williams. Steps out of bounds. It'll come back to the Pirates.
Now, let's see. We got 2 seconds on the shot clock because Donald Williams did not gain possession. So East Carolina, I don't know if they recognize it, but they've got to throw it the length of the floor. They do. And you play.
Yeah, in fact, you're right.
Well, see what happened? No, what happened is it did not hit the basket. Did not hit the rim.
Well, still an alert play as far as the East Carolina squad was concerned.
Yes. Only with 2 seconds remaining.
You know, Williams did dribble that ball once.
Well, but he didn't have possession. Tapped it and moved it forward.
Well, what's a dribble?
Well, he wasn't a dribble. That was a tap.
Okay.
That was a tap.
Okay.
Got to gain possession.
Okay. It was a tap. And there's a tap attempt. Not good for Montross. Here come the Pirates. Lions.
Oh, he got fouled. Hammered.
So this will be, was it a 3-point shot? If it was, it'll be 3 free throws.
He was right on the line. Awful close to it. I didn't see anybody signal 3. I think the referees were on the run. Let's see where he is. He's getting close.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's behind. He was behind. Sure was.
Let's see if they follow through with 3 free throws for Leicester Lions.
And not a real good move to follow a man, you know, out there in that particular, you know, he's coming down the break, pulling up late.
And he gets 3.
You know, he had a very interesting year in this respect. In the first half of the season, it's hard to believe for this guy, as gifted as he looks with a nice-looking stroke, only shot 33% from the floor. Second half of the season, 51% from the floor. Of course, one of the reasons why East Carolina, which lost 7 in a row at one point, has turned things around. Now 7 out of the last 11 they've won.
And Leicester Lions' mother was a high school basketball coach in Lewiston, North Carolina, and she certainly worked with his game. Now, I'm sure that his buddies on the playground really probably got on him. You didn't even tell me your mother worked with you in the game, but that's correct. And he's a heck of a player. Williams, also a heck of a shooter.
Well, that's the play that was there earlier that I talked about. We just bring Donald out there and say, hey, look, spot up. We'll get you the ball and keep shooting.
Keep it simple, huh?
Yep. Don't make this game brain surgery.
Lions around Williams and finds the range. Leicester Lions finding the range. 75-56 North Carolina. 5:10 left in the ball game.
Good ball fake by Rodel. Sullivan should have been ready to shoot the jumper.
And Montross, boy, just too easy a shot.
Well, he was pulled on the arm that time by James Lewis. Yeah, it just took away a little bit of concentration. He probably the next time, if had the same play, say, Lewis, I'm going to take you up around the rim with me.
Billy, now wait a minute. Show me where the pull is.
Well, now watch. He'll get picked on the arm. Watch it.
Okay.
Right there. See a little bit of pull in the arm.
Billy, now that's like a gnat sitting on an elephant's ear.
Yeah, you could say that, J.B. You're 230 pounds.
Oh, you're being very kind. Add about 20 more to that.
Okay.
Well, Billy Packer certainly has a lot of energy. I mean, the 4th game of the day, and he is still fired up. Well, that's what happens during NCAA tournament time. 76-56, North Carolina on top. 4:43 left in the ball game.
Back in the zone, East Carolina not in any hurry to take bad shots.
Young. Off Carolina, North Carolina, that is, and it stays at this end.
Good job by Richardson. Just getting a piece, the smallest man by far down around that rebound. And hit right off Montross's hand.
Ronell Peterson in for the Pirates, replacing Kareem Richardson.
Peterson had a hot hand against Appalachian State where he made 7 threes. They certainly could use some from him right now.
I mentioned that before. He and Mike Copeland,
right,
could certainly help matters out a bit more.
Good rebound.
Lewis just couldn't get enough under it. There's enough from Lions for 3. Lions with 21 points on the evening. 6 over his average.
Dean Smith saying, let's pull it back outside. How about this? Didn't want to see any more zone now. This goes back to the theory of Al McGuire. The object in the NCAA tournament is to win the game.
No matter the booing from the fans.
Win the game. And what it did is force Eddie Payne to get out of the zone, come out and play a man-to-man, which that's what they're trying to do now. North Carolina is trying to set up a Montross dunk.
And not a natural point guard out here for North Carolina. Donald Williams, a 2 guard.
And they get nothing.
And a rebound of the miss. Here come the Pirates.
Trying to trap, see if they get something again. every time Young's been double teamed, and it's another three-point foul shot attempt.
So Lions will take a trip to the line for 3 more.
Now, Dean Smith would like some more positive momentum to end this game. You can see he's getting a little frustrated. Just wanting this game to get over without anybody getting hurt. You think
substitutions. Go ahead, Billy.
You look at that expression on his face, you think that he's behind in this game. You know, kind of interesting. Dean Smith, of course, has the leading number of wins of any coach in America. But this year in the NCAA tournament, you've got Dean Smith with 600 wins, Bob Knight with over 600 wins, Norm Stewart, we saw in that Missouri game, with over 600 wins.
What is Lou Henson?
And Lou Henson over 600 wins. So, and then, you know, Denny Crum behind Denny Crum and Eddie Sutton with over 500 wins. So the guys that have been able to produce over a period of time, all factors in the tournament.
Well, I think Alice Lyons Bennett will be very pleased with the performance of one Lester Lyons.
To celebrate Buick's 90th anniversary, we proudly introduce...
After that LSU-California game, it'll set up the end of the day's activity in the Midwest region. Duke impressive. Bobby Hurley, big day from 3. Grant Hill seemed to be somewhat recuperated. Solid game.
And Duke will need a healthy Grant Hill in order to continue to move and advance forward in the NCAA tournament. 2:45 left here, Billy.
North Carolina pulled it back out. We're going to go and hold it in a semi-delay as long as East Carolina was in the zone. But Eddie Payne decided to come out and play this thing man-to-man. You'd have to say, even though they're down 14, they certainly handled themselves very well in this game, did East Carolina.
No question about that. In the last 4 minutes, it's been a case of Lester Lyons with 11 points. An 11-4 run by ECU as Montross is fouled. A tie ball game there, and we will take you to that contest at the conclusion of this one. 2:22 remaining here. North Carolina on top 76-62.
Let me ask you this one. What do you think would have happened with LSU this year if Shaquille O'Neal had decided not to go pro, huh?
You know what? It's interesting because the year that Shaquille did have last year in college wasn't a very impressive year for a guy that size, and you would think maybe because the college game was somewhat restrictive to him, clearly dominating at the pro level. So I'm not sure that it would have been demonstrably different than last season, personally.
So what do you think that California, it wouldn't make any difference? Shaquille's playing for LSU tonight.
Not necessarily.
You kind of like their chances.
I love the way you extrapolated from that. He still might have had his 40 points.
Yeah, I think.
But Jason Kidd certainly would have stepped up his game as well, too.
Eric Montross sits down, and if the Shaq had stayed, Montross would not have been the most potent force in the low post in college basketball, that's for sure.
Hey, Luther Wright had a very good game against Eric Montross back in the Meadowlands. Luther's a big man. Big man indeed.
And somebody is having a big night for Seton Hall tonight. That team is playing really well. Total movement. Nobody really down in the low post now. Now Salvadori gets position.
And a nice block by Ike Copeland. Seton Hall a winner.
So the Big East wins 2.
The Hall advances 1, knocking off Tennessee State, but a strong season again for Frankie Allen and his squad.
So that puts what? The Big East with 2 wins, the SEC with 2 wins, the ACC now with 3 wins. No losses for either of those 3 conferences. In the Southwest Conference, the loser for the day with 2 teams up, 2 teams out. Kevin Salvadori, who's made himself a factor with this North Carolina team.
And into the lineup,
Matt Wenstrom comes in, the 3rd 7-footer of the night for North Carolina.
Boy, what a luxury to have not 1, not 2, but 3 7-footers, actually 4.
Yep.
But Zwicker redshirting.
Right.
Serge Zwicker, another product of Stu Vetter. Again, that coach I mentioned, the high school ranks out of the Washington area. Good ball moving by East Carolina.
Wenstrom grabs the rebound. Had inside position. Not much anybody could do about it. Ike Copeland has had his hands full tonight, but, you know, I think he's done a fine job.
That he has.
Not a lot of help in there, giving up about 5 inches, no matter who they put in the game.
Really did play a strong game defensively, as much as can be expected. Could not get untracked offensively, that being Ike Copeland, as Winstrom goes up with the hook. Under 40 seconds to play, and North Carolina, the top seed here in the East, will advance. And Billy, I tell you, East Carolina certainly did show well. Most folks would have expected them to have been schwacked, unbelievably so. But they certainly did show themselves well.
Now here we see our bracket then today. It all finishes up. North Carolina, Rhode Island. That should be an excellent basketball game. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, you can't ask for a better situation for Saturday. St. John's, Arkansas, North Carolina, Rhode Island.
And again, I go back to the comment that Tom Butters made on Selection Sunday that it really should set up some nice second-round games around the country, and I think we're seeing that.
Scott Cherry with a nice basket. Oh, Lyons has had some kind of game, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, to the tune of 27 points for Lester Lyons. Larry Davis for 3 for Carolina, and that wraps it up. A fitting exclamation point to the contest for the Tar Heels. North Carolina, the top seed, wins it by 20 over the 16th seed, East Carolina. And the Chevrolet players of the game for East Carolina, no doubt about it, Lester Lyons, 27 points. And for North Carolina, Eric Montross, the big man in the middle with 17 points.